For many long years, we kept data on paper. Someone may think of craziness because...
So it helps them to ease into this digitalization.
First of all, I'm convinced this is a beautiful country, but getting these services together under one single platform.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another episode of Digital Transformation Podcast. In this episode, we have with us the former Deputy Prime Minister of Digitalization of Moldova, Mr. Iurie Țurcanu. Welcome to the show. Did I say your name right?
Yes, yes. And thank you very much for inviting me and for this promising discussion.
So before we get started on the digitalization aspect of the conversation, first of all, I would like to ask you, how did you yourself get into tech or this digital world?
I remember myself, my entire life, being very curious about all of the gadgets, all of the technology, all of the things which I've broke a lot, and I've tried to put them back and to see if I can do that really. So I've tried to form myself as a pragmatic person to the maximum degree possible. I'm coming from a village which is in the north part of Moldova. We didn't have too much of exposure to technology. That's probably fed my curiosity to this world. And when I had to decide on what would be my profession. I didn't hesitate that much. So I did go to so-called electrophysics faculty in the university at that time. So that was, in the end, it was a computer science kind of institution, which helped me understand the basics of technology, of IT technology, which I very shortly fall in love because of the creativity and because of the space it leaves you to innovate and do. And since then, each and every year, each and every day, I learn a lot because of this innovation being around us and being developed so dynamically.
So it's just curiosity and interest that drove you towards this field.
And I think some encouragement because of the results we obtained as a team, of course, because some of the things you can do alone and you can be proud of what you do as simple services. But most of the heavy lifting structures, technology components of digital transformation, if we take it as a complex reform, this is not something one single person or even one single institution can do. So you need a team there.
Yeah, it covers everything, so to say. So you were involved in like the private sector aspect of it, a software company as well. So how was it like in Moldova, like in the private sector, developing these softwares and solutions?
Yes, I worked for private sector for more than 10 years after graduating from the Technical University in Moldova. So that time helped me understand what are the international best practices in technology development, what are the priorities, technological priorities of different sectors. My primary application domain was fintech, media. So we worked for big Western companies for developing solutions for them. And I had the privilege to work with the brightest people there because my team was consisting of leading analysts and architects in the country. So later, when I moved to the government, because I saw that opportunity, I've invited some of them with me. But it was a time, I think all of the context on all of the stars aligned in a way that we had to use that time to prepare ourselves to what has had to come next. This move and this agenda which we had to take care of, digital transformation agenda of the government.
Yeah, but before that, I wanted to just ask you what prompted you from to shift towards the government while working in the private sector?
I think it's a conscious decision. Although someone may think of craziness, because when you worked in a private sector for so long time with IT specialists which are paid decently, and you have good social benefits and stuff like that, you would not pay very much attention to opportunities which governments usually offer to you. But I was fortunate to work in a team of enthusiasts and those who were motivated by the results we can deliver. And it was a turning point in our recent history in Moldova. So back in 2009, it was a change of the power. So some democratically elected government came to the power, and some of the leaders were visionary enough to understand that digitalization can change something in the economy, in the country, to make it still to keep it competitive and to make it flourish. And our question was, since we are developing good and innovative solutions for Western markets, for New York Stock Exchange, for Financial Times Stock Exchange, for different investment companies and stuff like that, why we would not apply our knowledge and expertise to what our own country needs?
Yeah.
And when we saw that announcement, that advertisement that the government is looking for digital talents to build a team of digital transformers, so we were curious, is this our government asking that? I mean, it's kind of
a big shift.
Yeah. So we did go to the interview, and let's admit it honestly that we didn't expect that we will be selected, because knowing that until that point everything was arranged, everything was kind of not necessarily very transparent, and stuff like that. We got selected, and we were immediately challenged with so what we are going to do to enhance people's lives. So the first challenge for us was to put together an agenda which will consist both of very heavy lifting and not necessarily visible technical components, but at the same time to keep the attention of the politicians, who always are eager to cut the ribbon and not necessarily to pay attention to cloud computing or to data exchange platforms which are not visible directly to people.
Yeah, that's also something I'm very curious about, because when you come to Maldives, you also see that we are also embarking on the same journey. So how do you translate that policy, that transformative ideas like data exchange, digital ID, into the civilian life, into everyday people? How do you manage that?
We have to understand the purpose of these components. So one bitter lesson learned from our side is that we should not be product driven. So we had a lot of companies coming to us and saying, we have very good products, we have very good technology, buy it from us, and so on. This is not about it. It is about the problem you are trying to solve. So if the technology they are suggesting to you is solving that problem, then it's a good option to consider. If not, that's probably you have to think more. So what we had to do is to understand what different pieces of the ecosystem which we were willing to develop. So what problems they do really solve? And we found that one key problem which people have at all time is this paper-based
services,
communication.
right?
Yeah. And so paper-based processes and paper-based service delivery, which each paper kind of document, it requires at least one physical visit.
Yeah, so you have to go to the agency and you have to verify.
And to ask for it, and second time to go and pick it up.
Yeah.
And third time, maybe you go somewhere to show it to some other authority.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this is clearly a problem which we, as citizens, as regular citizens, don't want to happen.
Yes.
Yeah? So data exchange happening behind the scenes is the solution to that. But it's easy to say, but it's not that easy to implement because of the quality of data we had in the government, because of insufficient of data, because for many long years we kept data on paper in big journals.
Written down, right?
Down with a lot of signs, and nobody
understood how to read it yet, how to decode it.
Exactly. So we had to find our way out from this particular problem. Another component, and again, another problem which we usually have with information systems, which sits behind digital services, is the infrastructure part of it. Yeah. So we have relatively small public administration, and we have relatively weak public institutions. So from ICT perspective, in some institutions we had one or two IT kind of specialists. So it's by far insufficient to consider a digital reform of some kind. Even those institutions who had tens of specialists, even with them, it will be a challenge.
It's difficult to implement those.
So our decision was to centralize as much as possible. To create this cloud computing environment built reliably on a multitude of data centers that just do not to have a single point of failure. To inject enough cybersecurity there, so we all want to be calm and sleep deep at night. So we don't want to be woke up and because something fallen apart. So cloud computing was solving us other problems and buying us some time to think of innovation in
how to proceed forwards. Yes. So there goes like several steps, I would say. For instance, like the daily citizen who would have to apply for a service, who would have to fill the form and go to one agency, then go to another agency. How do you cater towards, I'm sure there's a population that would still be in need of some sort of assistance, right? So while going digital, how do you cater towards this population as well?
We are all different, and we had different background, and we have different computer literacy and exposure even to technology. And it is natural to expect that people, some of the people may be very familiar with all of the services you are developing, and they are very fluent in working with technology. But for some of them, it's a real challenge. So the way we solved it in two steps. So this solution didn't come up easily because it cost some money and some effort. So what we did, in fact, all of the digital solutions which we created to deliver digital services, we exposed them to so-called unified centers for public service delivery. So literally, these are kind of small shops where you have someone more computer literate or a power user, let's say, which will assist you in obtaining the service you want. So we started to look around what kind of infrastructure will suit our purpose. And we found that librarians, for instance, libraries, public libraries, are very good for that because they were already, it was a program for a national program for informatization of the network of libraries. And the librarians were already prepared to interact with people. And the effect was beyond the expectations. It's because, when someone comes to you and kindly asks for help to obtain a service, a public service, so in the first case, it will be a completely assisted interaction. Yeah.
So the person helps the user fill out the service application and so on. Right?
Yeah. The person, the person who assists you will do almost all of the data entry and stuff like that. Maybe for the second time when you will go there, you will pay more attention what that person does.
Okay.
The third time you have enough courage to try it by yourself.
You will do it yourself, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And the librarians, they are not public officers. So the librarians, they are more client-oriented. They are more friendly. So they have all of the time to talk to people, to explain, because this is the kind of human interaction those people are expecting when spoiling that fear of unknown, of technology.
So it helps them to ease into this digitalization process, gives them confidence.
Yeah, so this means piece by piece injecting this digital service consumption culture.
Yeah. So in that perspective, we also have our OneGov platform where we make these services into one unified platform. But on the other side, I wanted to ask you, there are these different agencies who are providing these services. What's your approach on getting these to come onto the platform, these different agencies?
This is a reform which has to be conducted by the government in a way or another, because authorities, they are too possessive on their services and on their data. And sometimes getting these services together under one single platform, which we as consumers would love to see. We as consumers, we don't want to get lost in the multitude of sites and addresses and everything. So we have to understand that there is a one single convergence point when it comes to public services. Yeah. So we want to get into that portal and to search for the service we need. We expect the service to be very friendly and so on and so forth. So if we take institutions separately, so some of the institutions may have enough competence and passions and expertise to develop really client-oriented services, while some others will develop a very rudimentary services, and that's that time is just a lost time and effort, because people will not consume this kind of poorly designed services. So that's why we, by policies, by law, we said that it will be a unified public services portal. Technologically, this portal will not necessarily embed all of these services into it, but it will reference the services. But all of the institutions, they are obliged to provide information about the services they provide into that portal, so all of the consumers will understand upfront what to expect from that service. What are the prerequisites for this service to be offered? What is the cost for the service? And so on and so forth. And if the service is digitalized already, you will have a link which will teleport you directly to the service to do your online submission or to get the information you are looking for.
So one other aspect is, I think, when it comes to service delivery, especially, is the agencies who design these services, right? So is there like a standard service guideline that has to be met in order to put the service on this platform, or?
Yes, what we did and why our approach, I think it is a little bit different from what most of the countries I saw doing.
Yeah.
We developed a whole bunch of reusable components at the core of the government. Yeah. So these days, at the Maldives 2.0 Digital Summit, we discussed about digital identity, data sharing,
Yeah.
a little bit about infrastructure and cloud computing, about cybersecurity. So what we did, we created a bunch of microservices, each responsible for one single particular concern of either service development or service delivery. And among them, it was a unified design system, which is a kind of de facto standard when it comes to how the services should look like.
Okay.
So even if you are developing your services by yourself and you are deploying them somewhere, you still have to follow these guidelines. And by policies and with adequate regulations, we enforced the reuse of these platforms. Otherwise, it's that investment is not worth it.
Yeah.
If these platforms are not being reused.
Not being reused, and other thing is, I think it has to be connected in a way. For instance, I would go to apply for one service, and the data I give might be used for another application as well from a different agency. So how do you enable the exchange of this information between one agency and the other agency?
That's the role of M-Connect in our
Yeah.
case and MDX here in Maldives to make the institutions talk technically behind the scenes and make it possible to exchange the information in a very seamless manner and very non-intrusive manner from consumer perspective. Yeah. So this repetitive data collection, these inconsistencies in data, these are all consequences of us not necessarily organizing those institutions to exchange data. But once this infrastructure is in place, once you agree on the semantics of the data, because it's not only the fact that the data can fly from point A to point B is important. It is important for those who participate in data exchange scenarios to inject the same meaning in that particular data. Yeah, so once you set these rules and you still expect the institutions to have this kind of possessive view on and possessive attitude to the data they produce, data they collect, but still it's much easier. So you have all of the technical elements in place. It's the time to work with authorities. And what we did, in fact, is I think we adopted the most innovative model for data exchange in that region. So we learned from what Belgium did. Yeah, in Belgium there is no such a notion like data consumer and data provider. So there is a data participant to data exchange. So if you want to consume data, you are obliged to give your data to others who want to consume your data as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so there is no possibility for you to be only data consumers. Yeah, from the polls we saw during the summit, we saw that people are very eager to consume data,
Yes.
but not necessarily to offer this
provide-
data to.
Yeah.
But in the end, the philosophy is that if we partly uplift the burden from institutions, them do not to be scared to offer the data, because there are institutions which are okay to offer the data. But in absence of clear regulations on responsibility on the data which is being shared, they may be reluctant because they don't know what will happen to that data.
Once it's being consumed, right?
Yeah, do not to be blamed of
Yeah.
data breaches and stuff like that, and vulnerabilities. And so if we set these rules, if we set all of the technicalities, if we adopt the semantic standards and all of the syntax of data exchange messages, we are in a much better position to
to enable this data flow, right?
To enable the data flow and to communicate with everyone and to insist on this automated data exchange.
So that sort of like raises the question, when the data is being like consumed and it flows, like who owns the data? Who is the custodian of this data that is being regulated throughout the agencies?
The data still is in the ownership of the beneficiaries, which are entitled to collect and to process this data, to be the custodians of this data.
Mm-hmm.
So theoretically, the data belongs to us, to citizens, to subjects. Yeah. In theory, it is like that. But of course, and we have all of the rights to ask for data corrections, for different to be provided with the data we have in different data sources, administrative data sources, and to be answered with clear answer which data sits where.
Yeah.
But practically, in terms of data management, the data is still with the owners of the data. But we have to, at the same time, we have to think of the trust relations between the institutions. We are part of the same government. Why we would consider that we are more honest than our counterpart, which needs our data? So they will behave, they will follow the same discipline, the same attitude, the same behavior, and with the same responsibility as myself. And for me, do not to be blamed of misbehavior. So there are regulations in place. So it's not necessarily. I mean, once you have these rules set up, it's much easier to shape how the data exchange has to happen. But I completely agree with you, Tasin, that this is one of the most difficult change to have in government.
Because I believe also that when it comes to that, there has to be like a regulatory push. And when it comes to data, I guess because of how sensible it is, personally identifiable data has to be correctly encoded to make sure it's not being, stolen. Or there are some resistances to that, which
absolutely
I can also understand. So
absolutely. It's because of that, and it is because of this multitude of dimensions you have to keep under control when it comes to data handling, data management, data governance. It's because of many types of data which have to be handled differently, have to be considered differently. So public data, private data, state secret data, commercial secret data, I don't know, internal use data, and a lot of, so all of them needs different kind of approaches. When it comes to middleware or technical components which makes the data
connect to each other of sorts, the one who enables this flow, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, we have several layers. We have technical layers. Layer. We have semantic interoperability, which also, if you are disconsidering it, you may end up with a lot of mess in the data. So the data will flow, but instead of making the systems compatible in terms of meaning of the data, you may end up with different analytical results and different decisions based on the wrong interpretation of data. So this is so complex. So if you do it, so step by step, you don't see this complexity because you live with it each and every day.
Yeah.
But if you look around and see how many things you have to consider,
it's a very, very big process of steps, I guess. But how long do you think roughly when you started your digital transformation journey to where you are now? How much of an effort was it in terms of like time spent digitalizing these institutions, enabling these frameworks?
It took us roughly 15 years. Yeah, so our main, more systemic approach to digital transformation at the center of the government, started back in 2010, 2011. So we took that pragmatic approach I've told. So some practices which we borrowed from the private sector practices and software development. First of all, creating this single responsibility, so applying this single responsibility principle on different microservices and putting them together as a Lego to shape the
Yeah, that's a very apt way of putting it. It's like everyone is working together to build this Lego set that is the digital transformation journey, I suppose.
Yes, and with each of these building block, you simplify the future development of a new service, because that concern is not longer needed to be taken care by the institution which is newly developing service.
Yes.
It's already there. So the more you test it, the better it will be in terms of quality and more reliable and more. So this reuse, it comes with these rewards. I mean, the quality and efficiency in reusability.
Yeah.
So we started with identification first, because if you don't know who is on the other end of the line, you cannot provide the services. So legally binding of the electronic transactions, so the digital signature in other way, in other words, was another concern we have to take care. In Moldova at that time, we already had a PKI infrastructure national PKI infrastructure being set. But the problem was with its adoption. So we had very, very limited cases where digital signature was used. The digital signature kit, as we name it, so it's kind of smart card plus drivers plus something additional. They were very costly.
Yeah.
And you can imagine that crazy man which will buy for $100 the digital signature kit to submit tax declaration.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of the whole universe of services you can use this signature for.
Yeah.
So we started to put together these building blocks in a way that we can create the light. I mean, we can really think exclusively on building sectoral services. So along with this DPI, we name them, digital public infrastructure, like digital identity, digital payments, data sharing. Along with that, we had to develop sectoral services.
Okay.
Because Prime Minister don't want to cut the ribbon for the new digital signature thing, which maybe 5% of the population will understand what is that. But what they want to do is to say, we've simplified so many
sectoral services.
We gave a lot of opportunities for small and medium businesses to interact with the state in a much more simpler manner.
That's also, I think, a very, very interesting way, because when it comes to Moldova, roughly about 2 million population, I believe.
2.5
something, and Maldives is like roughly 550,000. So, but we also have like an adoption problem, especially when it comes to sometimes inclusion of private companies in making these solutions. Like, how do you create a platform to make sure like the private companies engage more with these solutions? Like, how do they come up with solutions for that?
This is a very interesting question, and this is a story in itself, because when we started, it was a complete distrust between private sector and the government. So these parties, so we had events, we had public events, but they were not talking to each other. And also we had a clear phenomenon of some of the companies winning bids after bids in public procurement, and some of the companies never delivered for other clients abroad. So they were not recognized as trusted service development or software development companies, because what they did, they just won these public procurements within the country. So this created a lot of distrust, because other companies which were capable enough, had the expertise, they didn't have any motivation to participate. So we had to learn how to listen to their
concerns
and needs. And for the government, that was unusual, that we are meeting with, we had an association of IT companies. We are meeting with them and telling them what are our plans for the upcoming, I don't know, half a year or a year, for them to get prepared to participate in our public procurements. So we learn how to listen to each other and to balance between what we need immediately to do and what we strategically need to build with them. Because if you are developing a cloud computing platform for the first time in Moldova, that's probably, you will not look for a Moldovan company. But you still have to dialogue on cloud computing with them, because they may partner with someone who has this experience, some multinational companies. And this kind of communication, this kind of collaboration is a very good thing for our economy, because we are understanding the corporate culture, we're understanding the practices, the compliance to international standards, and so on and so forth. So next time, our company will be a little bit more competent and with more expertise. But maybe the third or fourth time it will be confident, so they will feel confident enough to do it by themselves without any assistance. So we had to grow this this community of IT companies. Also, I would add here the fiscal incentives we provided to companies, to IT companies. For many long years, and still now, we have a favorable tax regime for IT companies.
For the local companies who are developing these solutions.
For local companies, but we opened the doors for investors. And in our virtual IT park, it's a virtual IT park because it doesn't have a physical presence somewhere, but it's a fiscal regime and plus some additional benefits to IT companies to come to Moldova, to set their delivery centers there, to hire people from Moldova and to export their products. So we started from 30 to 50 companies, and now there are more than 1,500 companies.
Oh, wow.
And this is a community already. So this is a force.
Yeah, I agree. So when looking back and taking a look at the data, like the citizen data and the company data and the public data, where does it sit? Does it sit in the borders of Moldova in a physical server or in cloud somewhere else? How do you tackle that?
It sits in cloud in most of the cases. But that cloud is a hybrid government cloud. It has a part which is on-prem, so it's in the perimeter of the country. And it has a part which is a public cloud, which is harmonized or is integrated with the part the component which we have on-prem.
I see.
So at all time, all of the governments will have something to keep in the country, so they will not get rid of the cloud on-prem at any point in time, because there is enough sensible information to think of that infrastructure to be in the country. But at all time, it will be some kind of public data which you intentionally want to make available to a large...
the public, right? So we've talked somewhat about the digital transformation of Moldova and things that we can learn. So I want to change it completely. Since you are in Maldives, I believe you are in Maldives for the first time.
Yes.
How is it here?
I think it is first of all, I'm convinced this is a beautiful country, but unfortunately, I didn't have any opportunity to go outside of Mali, and to see this beautiful country. So it's an opportunity for me to come back and to discuss with these enthusiasts and these people which I've met these days, to discuss on results and at the same time to see the country
more,
outside
right?
of.
So hopefully we will hope to see you in the next time on the next year summit as well, and maybe for a bit longer so that you can travel some more and see what it's like outside Mali and get a real grasp of the more Maldivian life.
But I hope too, and I'm confident that Maldives 2.0 will be a good opportunity for us to
connect more and
to connect more and to work together on these innovations, which I'm really very, very enthusiastic about.
All right. Thank you so much for coming in and having this discussion with us on such a short notice. And we hope you a pleasant flight back to Moldova.
Thank you very much. Thank you.